All righty. It is 7 o'clock. We are here for our regular commission meeting Tuesday, October 12th. We will start this evening's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item this evening is our consent agenda, and I would like to thank Chris for making the requested changes from the bench. I think everybody appreciated that. If there was any discussion on the consent agenda?
I so move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioners. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. First item on our regular agenda tonight is to receive a proclamation declaring the week of October 18th through the 23rd as Newton Business Professional Women's Week.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good
I'm Alan Neokum. For those who don't know me, I'm past state president of Kansas State Business Professional Women. And we're getting ready for our fall conference. So if any of you'd like to come, I'll get you the information. I told Denise, I cannot think of the name of that city near Kansas City where we're going to be. Do you know, Kathy?
Overland Park or?
Overland Park, yes, that's where we're going to be. So, looking forward to that. It's a weekend of fun and business and getting back into the groove of the fall. Whereas women constitute 69 million of the nation's workforce and strive to serve their communities, their states, and their nation in professional, civic, and cultural capacities. Whereas women-owned businesses account for 28% of the U.S. business, generating $1.2 trillion in sales. Whereas the major goals of the Newton BPW are to promote equality for all women and to help create better conditions for working women through the study of social, educational, economic, and political problems. All of us are proud of their leadership in these many fields of endeavor. Whereas since 1928, Women's Week has been spotlighting the achievements and contributions of working women during Women's Week. Whereas since 1924, the Newton BPW organization has promoted women in the local community and across the state of Kansas. You notice I said 1924. We're getting old. Therefore,
I'll take that one. Therefore, I, Rich Stinnett, Mayor of the City of Newton, Kansas, by the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim October 18th through October 23rd, 2021 as Newton Business and Professional Women's Week. This event is sponsored by Newton BPW. I urge all citizens in Newton, all civic and fraternal groups, all educational associations, all news media, and other community organizations to join this salute to women. Encourage and promote the celebration of the achievements of all women as they contribute daily to our economic, civic, and cultural purposes.
I would move that we approve next week is BPW week.
I will second that.
Thank you, Commissioners. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Kathy, you should go down there. You're a BPW.
Alan, he's going to take a picture.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Oh, I'm not there anymore.
Oh,
He wants to. Can I take a picture with you?
Awesome. The next item on this evening's agenda is to receive a request for traffic cones, picnic tables, and trash cans for the Newton Lions Club Pancake Feed on November 2nd, 2021. Denise?
And yes, thank you. The Lions Club always does a pancake feed on Election Day, which is November 2nd. And last year they did it at Midway Motors, and they are going to do that again this year. They're requesting some picnic tables as well as some traffic cones to get people going and trash containers. And staff has looked at that and it's okay with that.
Awesome. Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I will move that we accept the request for the Lions Pancake Feed.
Thank
I
you.
second.
Thank you, Commissioners. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Next item this evening is bond series. Nope,
Yes. Yep.
I've got, yep,
see.
bond series. Bond series 2021. Donna and Jack Ryan Feldman is going to join us from Zoom.
We're going to try.
Yes. I think he's on.
I can't hear the meeting right now.
Jack, can you hear us?
He says he can't hear the meeting right now. He doesn't know if he's supposed to be able to.
There we go.
Good evening, Jack. Are you there?
Do you need to start video or no?
Well, that's on our side.
Okay, gotcha.
No,
Are we muted or?
I don't know. It should be okay. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. There we go.
Well,
We're getting closer.
Are we good? Oh, we did? Can you hear us, Jack?
Apparently not.
Well, I hear. Yes,
Oh.
I can hear you, but nobody else can. Hang on.
Give me a call.
I can hear you. Can you speak now? Can he hear us? Did you hear him just a little bit ago?
I heard him a minute ago.
Yeah.
No, I think
I don't know where I need to go.
you're going to have to call him.
Okay. Hey, Jack, can you send us your phone number so that we can call you and just have you on the screen? Did you get that?
See if he can see a chat.
I've got his phone number,
Oh.
if it's this one.
Yeah, that way he doesn't post it in the public chat.
Okay. You want to come?
Please don't post your phone number, sir.
816?
Rebooting all of a sudden.
It's rebooting.
Sure. Better use a cell phone.
It's not showing it in the public.
Great timing.
That isn't on the Facebook Live.
Well, technical difficulties here. Yeah, it won't.
No,
We can't.
it's not connected.
It's not going to let us do this. Can you call him and do it on cell phone?
This is Jack.
Okay, Jack, I have you on the cell phone.
Okay. All right. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, this is just like real life, huh? My name is Jack Ryan Feldman, director with Baker Tilly Municipal Advisors, the city's independent financial advisor. The action we have before you is considering the award of bonds for the General Obligation Refunding Bonds Series 2021A. This morning we took bids at 10 a.m. and we received 11 bids. If that sounds like a lot, trust your instincts. The winner of that was the Bank of New York Mellon Capital Markets with an overall tick of 0.998%. That is quite low. The market is at historical rates right now, and Newton has been making a habit out of taking advantage of the low interest rates and refinancing some debt to get a lower rate on your overall debt portfolio. On this particular series, the city realized savings of $554,000 in future interest costs. That is a present value savings of 8.6%. The best practice for this type of project or this type of refunding is to get at least 3%. So we're well above that threshold here. These bonds were rated by Standard & Poor's, which is one of the main rating agencies. They assigned the city a AA- rating with a stable outlook. That is a great rating to have. Just wanted to note some of the features from their report. Kind of a broad strokes is that the city is controlling the controllables, controlling the features of the credit rating that you have control over. That's getting the highest score possible in your financial management policies, as well as a very strong score in budgetary performance, budget flexibility, as well as liquidity, which is available cash. So all of that, to sum up, it was a successful day in the market today, and I would recommend awarding the 2021A bonds to Bank of New York Mellon. And I'm happy to answer any questions if I can hear them.
Well, I don't know that there's a lot of questions. Donna has taken us through this dance several times in the last 12 months, so she's gotten good at refunding these bonds and getting them at their very low interest rates. And I think the public and the bench has gotten pretty used to this process. Good day on the market, that's for sure. Commissioners?
We just need an ordinance number?
Well, you need to,
We need to first do,
You need to receive and accept the bonds
right.
for the low bid.
I move that we receive and award the General Obligation Refunding Bonds to BNY Mellon.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. So next, we'll have the ordinance.
Sure. That number will be 5059-21.
So we'll need a motion authorizing an ordinance 5059-21.
I move that we pass 505921, authorizing and providing for the issuance of the bonds.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do we have a second?
Bonds.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. All righty.
and just one more.
Thank you. Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
And the other one is just a standard motion.
We'll need a resolution number, and that will be G-1260.
I'll make a motion that we accept resolution number G-1260.
Second.
Hearing a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Wow.
Awesome. Thank you, Donna. Next item on this evening's agenda is Cottonwood Crossing Rural Housing Incentive District Phase 1. Chris?
Thank you, Mayor. So there's a memo prepared on this agenda item. As you can see from the agenda, we're taking up two portions for Cottonwood Crossing. This one is for Phase 1, and then the next item will be for Phase 2, which is the future development. But as for this item, item 7, this has to do with Phase 1 that's already been constructed and is in operation. There's two items, and this pertains to the developer doing some refinancing and essentially these two steps that they've asked us to complete. One is a resolution that we've prepared that acknowledges their performance under the agreement. I would stand for any questions on that resolution. They've been a good partner. They followed the agreement. It's good. Number 2 is there's a quitclaim deed that's in your packet, and the city has a reversionary interest in each of those lots that are listed in the resolution. That was tied to the development plan and development agreement, whereby if during the course of construction, if they had breached that agreement, the city would have the right to take possession, ownership of the land. However, they've complied with the agreement, they've built it, it's operational, and per the agreement, once they've done that, the city needs to release that reversionary interest. And as you're aware, it's difficult to obviously refinance a property with that reversionary interest hanging onto the property. So That resolution has been, the resolution and quitclaim deed have been provided to you for your consideration. It would be two separate motions. I would stand for any questions, staff as well.
All right, team. Any questions from the bench? Nope. None? Denise, do you have a resolution number for us, please?
That would be G-1261.
I move we approve Resolution G-1261, acknowledging the performance of Cottonwood Crossing.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Next item is,
Sorry,
go ahead.
did we do the quitclaim deed approval?
Do the quitclaim.
We need
We
to
need
do
to
it.
do the.
Yeah,
quitclaim.
okay, sorry.
Yes. Can we get a motion?
I move that we will consider the quit claim deed to remove the city's reversionary interest in this property at Cottonwood Crossing.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. All right, Chris, don't go away. Next item on this evening's agenda is Cottonwood Crossing Phase 2.
Got it. And as we talked about, related to Phase 1, this is the future development, residential development that's there. 4 items. First is to receive a recommendation from the Planning Commission regarding a zoning change from C2 to R3. The second is to consider an ordinance to effectuate that zoning change. The third is a resolution to petition for the creation of an RHID. And maybe there's not a fourth. Maybe it's just those 3 items. So I'll take them in order. The first one, there was a hearing that was conducted by the Planning Commission on September 13th. This was approved unanimously. C2, which as you're aware is a commercial district, R3, which is a multifamily residential. So we would ask you to receive the recommendation from the Planning Commission to effectuate that zoning change.
May I get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion that we receive the recommendation of the Planning Commission for a zoning district change.
Thank
I
you,
will
Commissioner.
second that.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries.
And the second item is an ordinance that essentially effectuates that change. It amends our ordinance to show that this area is now going to be R3 as opposed to C2. It'd be effective upon publication.
The ordinance number would be 5060-21.
Okay, I move that we accept 506021, I guess, changing this from a C2 to an R3.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do we have a second?
Second.
Awesome. We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Okay, and the final item is a resolution. Zach outlined this item in your agenda packet, but essentially, we had previously approved a resolution accomplishing the same thing of a slightly bigger footprint. The developer has decided to go with a smaller footprint. So the resolution before you repeals the previous resolution asking for the establishment of our RHID and includes an amended description which is smaller but covers the same area. This will restart the RHID process. We will publish and we'll send to Department of Commerce for approval and go on just with a modified area.
Thank you, sir. That resolution.
That resolution number would be G-1262.
I move that we approve G-1262.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioners. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Thank you, Chris. Well, you thought you were off the hook. Next item on this evening's agenda is First Street Water Tank Project.
Sure, and I'm covering this for Suzanne, but happy to cover any questions that you might have. This has to do with the city's construction of a water tank there on First Street, as well as the painting of the towers. Staff has worked to obtain a loan from the state. It's for an amount of $5.2 million, and it's at a rate of 1.26. The loan agreement is in your packet. I want to kind of amend the items. It has number 1 is consider the loan agreement and the ordinance. I'd like to kind of combine that into one motion if you're okay with the loan agreement. Essentially, the ordinance just authorizes the execution. There is one issue that I want to work through. So if you are okay with the loan agreement, I'd like you to make it contingent upon the city attorney's legal opinion being finalized and executed. Just one thing that I want to run through bond counsel, but I would stand for any questions that you have about the loan. Suzanne has a good memo in the packet that outlines the details. You have the loan agreement and the ordinance. I'd stand for any questions, and I can rephrase that motion for you if you'd like to go forward on the loan agreement.
The one question that I know that you can't answer, because Suzanne's not, I'm just curious how many millions or how many gallons of water do we flow a day in Newton? Aaron? That's a good one for the Facebook.
Definitely.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
So I was just thinking, you know, if we're going to split the towers into 2 units so that we have the ability to take one offline and everything,
Right.
you know, how much pressure does that put on that one remaining? You know, if we flow that much in a day, then that's a lot of pressure on the one that's remaining. If we only flow half of that a day, then awesome. So, how would we rework that motion?
So essentially, it would be to approve the loan agreement and ordinance contingent upon the city attorney finalizing a legal opinion, and that form is in the agreement. So it'd just be that contingency, but you'd approve both the loan and the ordinance on that contingency.
And that ordinance number, Denise?
Sure. That would be 5061-21.
Thank you.
I'd make the motion to approve ordinance 5061-21 contingent on a favorable opinion on the contingency.
Thank you.
Is that for the loan?
And the
as
loan
well?
agreement
And
as
the loan
well?
agreement.
Okay.
Awesome. We have a motion.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries.
Then the next item on this agenda item would be to consider the plans and specs for the water tank project. Those are not in the packet, but they are available for you. We'd ask you to approve those plans and specs.
Can I get a motion?
I will move that we consider the plans and the specifications for the water tank project.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
And the final item on this agenda item would be to set November 16th at 2 p.m. as the date and time to receive bids for the water tank project.
I'll make a motion that we set November 16th at 2 p.m. as the date and time to receive bids for the water tower project.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Thank you, Chris.
Got it.
You are off the hook, sir. Next item this evening is to receive a request to make extra principal payment to KDHE for the wastewater treatment plant low-interest loan. Donna?
Yes. If you remember, in 2016, the City Commission decided to maintain the 38% plant upgrade fee so that we could pay the wastewater treatment plant loan off 10 years early. They felt like paying it off early was the most fiscally responsible choice. So since that time, we have paid 4 extra principal payments for a total of $3,400,000. The sewer increases that were planned for 2017 and 2018 have also been paid by this fee. So the sewer usage charge for citizens has remained the same throughout this time period. We also maintain contingency reserves as specified by the state of Kansas for our debt coverage ratios. And we also put aside money in the plant maintenance reserve annually. And this is all tracked separately so that we can keep, for transparency purposes, people can see that we're doing everything we said we would. I am now asking Commission to approve the 5th and annual extra principal payment in the amount of $1 million. And this is really hard to read up there, so this is what I've given you each year, so you can kind of see how we're doing and what we've paid in the past, and it looks like we're right on target to pay it off by 2026. And the final payment, we can use we had to pay 1.5 payments ahead for the debt coverage ratio, so that's just sitting over here waiting, and that can pay our final payment. So that is good. So we are doing as well as we expected to.
Awesome. Thank you.
I would make a motion that we make that extra principal payment.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I will bring the revised amortization schedule back to you when they send it in back in, I think it'll be December.
Thank you, Donna. Oh, but wait, Mr. Chris. Next item is to receive bids for the Southwest 14th Waterline extension.
Sure, and this is a short one. As you recall, on August 24th, you put this project out for bid. It's the Southwest 14th Waterline extension. All of the bids were over the engineer's estimate, but staff was able to negotiate the low bidder down to an amount that was even with that estimate at $110,980. City staff recommends that you approve the negotiated bid amount with McCullough Excavation for $110,980 and decline the add alternate.
And just for clarification, that add alternate was to go across the road and position ourselves for future?
Correct.
That's correct.
So this will only do the development that's required for the KDOT project.
That's right.
Thank you. All righty. So may I ask for a motion?
I move that we receive the bids for the Southwest 14th Waterline extension.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries.
And just for the record, I think we should actually, okay, we're saying the same thing. Actually award the bid to McCullough at that amount. Can we just get the minutes to reflect that? You've received the bids and now
And
part two, exactly.
I will
Right.
make that all work.
Denise, please make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is the Citizens Forum. We have one individual signed up, Shar DeSmith-Foth. If you would, please come to the podium, state your name and address, please.
Sure. Hello, my name is Shar DeSmith-Foth, and I live at 506 Boyd Avenue. I'm a resident, of course, of Newton, and I've lived in my home for over 31 years. I have spoken with Commissioner McBroom regarding a noise problem that we've been having and dealing with within the last few months, and then he invited me to this meeting. The noise problem, I'm just going to go right to it, is music that is being played so loud that I can hear it in every room of my house. The music is usually played late afternoon to evening, but we have heard it in the middle of the night as well. Currently, there are 2 large speakers attached outside at the back porch that sit above the neighbor's 6-foot fence line. The distance from these speakers to my south wall of my property, or my house, are about 35 feet. There's also another speaker placed at the front porch attached to the ceiling near the gutter in the front of the house, of his house. As you can imagine, we hear the music throughout our entire house. Even with our TV on, we are hearing music. We have contacted the police, but they say they can't do much because of the vague wording of the noise ordinance from 7 in the morning till 10 at night. I am referring to the noise restriction ordinance 17-238. I find it interesting, though, that in Section B, there are specifics regarding sound coming from any motor vehicle, but nothing for residents. This music intrusion is just unacceptable and should not be happening to us or any citizen of Newton. We deserve to have peace and quiet in our own home, and we deserve to have needed sleep. I am asking for your help to add specifics to the noise ordinance from 7 in the morning till 10 for residents so that we can be at peace in our own home. I have details on my phone of what it's like to be on and around our property that I can share with you. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity to discuss this problem. It's been a tiring, long summer, and I sure look forward, and my husband looks forward to a resolution with this.
Thank you for bringing this to us.
Yes.
If I can I add something to this? Okay, sure. So I was able to go out and speak with her and her husband at their place, and I did see the video that she recorded. And there's music that begins at, correct me if I'm wrong, but well past 10 o'clock, but then till 3:30 in the morning,
About 4.
4 o'clock in the morning on the same night, and the music is very loud. And so we do have ordinances that prohibit people from playing music in the nighttime. Problem, though, is that it can be somewhat difficult to enforce. And when the police leave, somebody can turn their music back up, and if there's some witnessing of it, is what you've been told, correct, by people, officers that have been there, is that if it's not witnessed, it's more difficult to enforce.
Yes.
And so I understand that the police department, for that option, the evening time is looking at other alternatives, but it's taken time. And I know that if this was my neighbor, it would be extremely difficult for my children to get a decent night's sleep and then go to school the next day. So that's one issue at night, but then also during the day. And it is interesting to note that there is nothing in our ordinance that prohibits any kind of noise during the day in a residential area. So somebody could be as loud or as obnoxious as they wanted to, and in the day of a lot of people having to work from home, it would be catastrophic for my wife if she had to sit in our back bedroom and work during the day, which she does 3 days a week. If our neighbor, and he would not, he's a very kind gentleman, but if one of our neighbors decided they wanted to blare music all day long and had no regard for anybody else in the neighborhood. So I don't know, Chris, if we can find, if there's other options, if other cities have similar ordinances that we could at least look at for residential areas.
Absolutely. I'm happy to talk to you after the meeting. We can.
Yeah.
And I know that industrial and commercial is somewhat not part of that, but at least in residential areas. And then I think too that Sunset does set right across the street, so kids are in
Sure.
class during the day learning too, so.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
in
so
ter-
would it be the same issue though if we address the daytime, but if the police are saying that nighttime, it's all about enforcement, how are you going, unless you have a witness, how are we going to enforce either day or?
Well, I think it's a question that, and I know that you've talked to Lieutenant Millspaugh
Yeah.
and Deputy Chief Powell. I've talked to Deputy Chief Powell, and I think there's people working on it. Am I right on that?
Yes, one option we had was to get us there without it. The concern was the person may have a scanner. So we have ways around that, and I think hopefully those were passed on to you. We're trying, and we feel for it too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've talked to you about it too, so.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Are these new neighbors?
Well, he moved in June of 2020.
Have you had a chance to have that discussion?
Yes, multiple times.
Okay, because that's the first step, is to try and have
Yeah,
that
and Madam,
discussion without.
we want to do everything the right way.
No,
And we did approach him multiple times and asked to turn it down. And then next time it's back up again.
right.
And it's starting to get, feeling like a little harassment.
Yeah, and I could see that. Sometimes I know it could also end up being like the kids doing it when the parent's away or whatever. So I appreciate you at least going and trying to work with them at
We could
first.
really use some peace.
Chris will definitely get with you. My
Okay.
concern on anything that would say decibel or whatever, you're going to have to put a carve out for the trains.
yeah, I think
Oh,
in
yeah.
terms of the instant action, I understand if a report's been filed, then we let that process go through. But obviously, in your chair, there's a legislative function, and you can sure look at that ordinance. We could look at it being limited to sound-producing devices, what have you, for sure.
We look at our ordinances and traffic code and all that on
Right.
an annual basis. So, let's go ahead and loop this in and see what's out there, see other best practices.
Absolutely.
Get with the league and see what they're doing and.
For sure.
Go from there.
Can I
We
ask-
can't make any promises, but we'll definitely,
Well, I don't think it's quite fair, though, just to send somebody away and say, here it is. So can I ask why, and Deputy Chief, you might be able to best answer this question, and I don't know who has been out there or what was discussed once they arrived, but say if there's a battery that occurs, the officer may not witness who actually did the battery, but they might have a suspect and they arrest him or cite him or whatever. Is something like that cannot happen here? If she has video of something happening at 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Can somebody not be cited? I don't think this person has received a citation at all for a noise ordinance violation. And Lieutenant Millspot may be better to answer this.
Yes, and I met with her, I don't know, it's been a few weeks now ago, and she did show me the videos.
Yeah.
And the videos that were in violation of the noise ordinance during that time, we have had Lieutenant Yoder actually downloaded her off her phone.
Okay.
Cases have been made on those.
Okay.
So there are pending criminal cases on that.
That goes to the city prosecutor. Sorry, Josh, I didn't mean to cut you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And as far as the other stuff, I mean, if we go out there and, you know, she herself, not only a victim, but can be the witness as well to that. It's just hard for the city prosecutor to prosecute stuff with, there's not much evidence there to show that. But with the phone stuff, that should be a,
Yeah, I've been.
you know, a no-brainer.
Oh, I've got a.
So where, do you know where that is in the process now? Has it been given to the city prosecutor and?
Yeah, it should have been, because we
Okay.
filed that the day we talked a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
But is the problem the fact that the ordinance doesn't speak to decibel and it's very interpretive?
Well, I think there, like I said, there's two lanes here. One is what's happened in the past, and I think that there's obviously been a police report filed. City prosecutor will look at it and review it and evaluate it, and it'll go through that process. And if it goes forward with formal charges, obviously that person will have a right to go in front of the judge and appeal and all those things. So I think that's kind of there. The legislative function, forward-looking, we can bring back to you at your next meeting, here's the ordinance, here are some options. So I think that's, the focus should be forward-looking. But yeah, sure, there are challenges when, depending on witnesses, in terms of how the ordinance is drafted. We dealt with it with the animals barking, the same sort of concerns and discussions we had at the bench.
So at night, yeah, I'll just point out that the nighttime ordinance from 10 to 7 at night says any noise that can be heard beyond the property line of any residential property. So it's not a decibel rating, it's whether or not it can be heard from the property line or beyond. It's a pretty simple.
But I think this ordinance has been on the books for some time. I don't know
Sure,
if you have the
yeah.
year up there. Does it?
It has been.
Yeah,
Oh, I
it's been
haven't
on the
pulled
books
it
for
up.
a while.
Yeah, it's been up.
And like I said, we'll show you what the law is now. We'll show you some different options. We'll bring that
Yeah,
back
I
to you at the
think
next
so.
meeting and
Yeah.
I think
go
we
from
need
there.
to.
Is this a homeowner there or a tenant?
Homeowner. I do believe, yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, hasn't the individual come over and apologized to you guys and then did it anyways?
Actually, he apologized to my husband.
And then turned around and
he
did it anyways.
Turned around and did it again.
Yeah, it's odd.
And yeah, we're tired.
Yeah,
You
I
guys.
doubt it.
This is just exhausting.
Yeah.
You know, every night I always wonder when I'm getting off of work, am I going to come home to music? Am I going to be able to relax? It's very, very difficult. I don't even go to my south part of my house because of the music is so loud. We've stopped inviting people over, and I've stopped some of my gardening. It's just, I just want some peace in my own house, on my own property. And I should expect that, should I not?
You
Yeah.
should.
You should.
You
Yeah.
should.
I need your help.
Yep.
Yeah,
We'll look at it.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Having no other business this evening, this meeting is adjourned. Oh, yeah, you want to go around the horn?
Sure, I was going to invite everybody to, this Saturday is our last home game for our Newton Junior Railers, so if you want to come out and see our 2nd through 6th grade football players play, they start at 9 and end at 1:30, I believe, but they'll be there all day. You can come out and get food at the concession stands and get some Newton Junior Railers gear if you want to. I'm sure they'll be glad to sell all of it before the end of the season, so come out and you'll get to hear my DJ skills as I'm working in the press box, so
Your DJ skills.
yes.
Sir?
I have nothing.
Thank you. Denise?
No, sir.
No?
Thank you, city staff, for filling in for those who are missing. You've done a great job. I'm sure they'll be pleased. Thank you, first responders. You guys have had a busy week so far, just in the last 2 or 3 days, from everything I hear, from where I'm at. So thank you for what you do and for your care for our community.
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
Do I need to pre-sign? If I wanted to say something, I
Yeah.
would needed to pre-sign.
Ahead of the start of the meeting. Is there a function for that, or just?
It's your call.
I'd be glad to speak with you after.
Okay. It has to do with that lady and her need.
Awesome.
Can we hear from her? Is there a reason why?
Do we need to
would not?
reopen the meeting for that?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's
Go ahead. I mean,
Yeah, you'd call the meeting adjourned, so, yeah,
Oh,
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
you're welcome.
I'm willing to stick around and listen.
yeah, we'll stick around and talk to you. We can do it. Not part of the meeting, though.